So this is the Mustang, a project I had a few years ago, pre-COVID, so probably 4 years ago maybe, I reckon. I got it, I traded it for a Land Rover Defender that I didn't want anymore, and I wanted a project during COVID because we were all stuck in and stuff. So we got this, and it didn't look quite as bad as this when we got it. I did a load of work to it. We put an M57 with an 6-speed auto in it, got it running, got it driving. I just didn't get brakes or steering, which are reasonably important, and then got sidetracked on other stuff and ended up doing other bits. Body wise, it's had a ton of work as well, and it's had a load of new panels. I've got a new wing for that side and stuff like that, but we're going to drag it out of here now and see what we can do with it. The Mustang hasn't moved then for a few years, as you can tell, which is why it's growing moss all over it and it's stuck in the bush and everything, so we're going to have a bit of a nightmare getting this out, I think. We've got a trailer, but it's only got a hand winch on it, and that's going to make dragging this very interesting because some of the tyres are flat. I imagine the brakes are probably seized on, so it's going to be a bit of a game. There used to be a wasp's nest in here. Right, so that's in neutral. Looking at the shifter. Just try and pull it, Harry. Getting it on the trailer wasn't too bad in the end. We managed to get there with it. A bit of messing around, it went on not too bad. So the next challenge was getting it off the trailer and into the workshop. That was a little bit more difficult because, as you know, we've got that big ramp, and then we wanted to get it to the right hand side of the workshop and not on the lift side. I haven't opened the bonnet on this car in a few years. The last time I did, we stole the injectors out of the engine for one of the race cars. Nice. On inspection, opening the bonnet, there's a ton of cobwebs, and then this mess, which was a shock to see. So that is a bunch of tissue and leaves and sticks that's all been chewed up and very, very carefully placed under the inlet manifold, right where the injectors go, and fill in some of the injector holes, which I wasn't over the moon about seeing. The mice have filled a few of the injector ports with this leaf tissue mix, which is a bit of a nightmare, but luckily it's all dry, there's no corrosion or anything like that, and I managed to get it cleaned out with the help of an airline and a screwdriver and flicking out everything, so that wasn't too bad. I still need to get it running. Hopefully there's no damage or anything in there. Everywhere else, cobwebs, lots and lots of cobwebs, lots of spiders, my least favourite thing in the world. I'd got a set of fresh injectors to go in and all the pipe work and everything, so it's just a case now of refitting them, doing the other few bits and bobs to get it running. I need to know that the engine's going to run, and if it does, great, we can carry on. If it doesn't, then we need to make a bit of a plan moving forward, because obviously it's quite an important part of the project. There we go then, back together. It wasn't too bad. Once I'd got it cleared out, that was the worst bit, was getting all the mess cleared out, and then just throwing the injectors back in wasn't too bad. Here is the inlet for the intercooler. I'm not going to bother plumbing all the boost pipes and everything back up because it's really not necessary, just to get it running. I've just got to put the ECU back in because we stole that as well for another project. The back of the car then, again, I haven't opened the boot in a while, and impressively it actually opened. I was kind of thinking that key lock could be seized. And then you can see in the boot, same again, lots of leaves, lots of cobwebs. I've got a couple of old batteries, a fuel cell and a fuel pump from when it was originally put together, none of which is bolted down. So I'm just going to connect all that back up, put a fresh battery on it, and make sure it's got a bit of fuel, and we can get to trying to get it to run. So jumping inside then, I'm going to give it a go, crank it, see if it'll actually turn over.
So we left it charging for a bit on the transit, so we've got a bit of power now, hopefully. And then we also cranked it over without the ECU on to get some fluid, some diesel through. So hopefully it'll work now.
Not too bad then, with a bit of power and a bit of diesel, she fires straight up, which was impressive. Managed to get the M57 powered Mustang running with a little bit of help via some jump leads from our M57 powered Transit. We've got a full build on that, which you can see on the channel as well. So it's time to move this out onto the ramp so we can actually get around it properly and start working on it. So we've got to get it from there to there where Harry is, through that little gap without hitting that, or hitting anything else. The reason the Mustang was stuffed in the corner and treated as a makeshift shelf was because we just didn't have the opportunity to jump straight onto the project. We'd got a bit of racing and other stuff going on that we wanted to get through, so we stuffed her in the corner, and now we've got to drag her out and get started on the project properly. Okay, so we've got the car on the ramp now, which was hard work, and then we've sort of emptied out the inside because there was a load of stuff stuffed in it. And bits and bobs, so we've dragged that all out and we've got all these bits on the floor now, which are all bits. Oh, don't kick that over, Harry, that's a piece of glass.
Yeah, maybe don't kick that.
Yeah, so we've got all these bits and bobs, a lot of new stuff and then a lot of the original old bits and stuff as well, so we're going to root through them and just double check what we've got so we know what we've got. But there's literally like brand new panels, the old bumper, brand new race dash there. Yeah, just all sorts of, there's boxes that I don't even know what they are, so, and then yeah, all the good old stuff. Plan is to convert it from the 6-speed auto to 6-speed manual, and then we're probably going to build it into a drift car because it's already got a lock rear axle, which is ideal for drift, and it's just a cool kind of car for that sort of thing. So the plan is to convert it to manual, make a few changes to make it compliant with drift regulations and stuff like that, so that we can go on track with it. Do it as a bit of a project, something completely different to what we'd normally do. Obviously it's not an off-roader of any kind. Treat it as a little bit of a different project. It's already here, so, and it's got a ton of work done to it already, so we're just going to finish it off as a drift car with the diesel engine and just have a bit of fun with it. I've just got flaky paint.
Yeah, I've got the same on the lower of the rear wings.
Some bent bits.
Yeah, there's this panel that already needs cutting out on this side, which is about the same as it was before.
Oh, we might need to change that, that's a bit close.
The rest of it's not terrible though.
It's not in too bad condition. There's quite a bit of surface rust in places, but it's just like that surface rust. Good wire brush up and it'll come up nice. You can see here where somebody's cut that out randomly with a God knows what. So it just wants tidying up. There's some bent bits of steel work that we can tidy up easy enough, and then everything else just wants wire brushing and making nice. It's got a brand new Willwood disc conversion on it there, look, which is all still new, just
easy to clean up, doesn't it, really? Yeah, it's just sat.
Oil leak from the steering box, but I remember what that was when I was doing the conversion. The high pressure pipe kept bursting, right, for whatever reason. When I was doing it, I got it figured out and it all worked in the end, but that's what that'll be for.
Chassis rails look good, floor looks good, just all wants a bit of a clean up and a wire brush. I'm going to want to make an exhaust for it. Gearbox is changing, so that'll be coming out completely. Prop will have to come out as well, because that will change for the manual gearbox. All the floor's good. We'll redo this pipe work here a bit neater and straighter, because that's a bit shit. And there's brake pipes to go in there. We can 3D print up some really nice like clips and stuff to mount all that now as well. Yeah, we'll sort out these dodgy washers as well. Don't know what somebody was thinking with them. But that's the sketchiest. That side's not too bad, this side.
Really side's a lot worse.
Like, what the funk? So we'll have to sort out, and then rear end is not too bad. Probably benefit from some new springs, but
yeah, all the mountings look good though.
Yeah, and like all the back end looks really good.
The only rust is really there.
Yeah, we've got some.
And then on the other side, but we've got the bits to cut them out anyway.
This side's not too bad. I think it's mostly paint flaking off, so we'll wire brush that up and see what it looks like, and then this side, yeah, we've got the panel to do this whole corner here anyway. And then yeah, it'll just be recommissioning stuff, you know, like going through, changing all the fluids, stripping the brakes down, and just going through put some decent shocks on it. Not too bad really, is it? Not really. For saying it's sat for 5 years.
Possibly the clearance on that pulley.
Yes, definitely the clearance on that pulley. Yeah, we'll remake all that bottom mount and everything, because we can now with the TIG welder. This fits so much nicer than the Lincoln engine did, because the Lincoln had got this big cross member that was in the way. And they used a front sump from an E38 M57 that gives a front bowl, because normally the bowl of the sump is there where the steering thing is. I moved it to the front there so it fit in. It fits really well actually. What genuinely does. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, it's in the underside, and then on top now, looking at the on top, the engine bay obviously you've seen in that, and it was just cobwebs and stuff. The rest of the bay just wants a wire brushing up and it'll be good, and then we can just put a little bit more paint on it, but it survived quite well. Again, some bits of surface rust around the front. The bumper has obviously lost its chrome, but I'm not fussed about that because I don't like chrome anyway, so we can get rid of that. So everything up the front here is pretty reasonable. We've got a brand new wing to go on this side, and there isn't much work we need to do in that wheel well. We'll paint in here, clean and wire brush all up in here, and paint that so it doesn't rust. The wing's been done, but we'll quickly go through that as well. It largely just needs a clean. We should have jet washed it off outside first, really. That would have been a good idea. So on the outside, on this side, it's already had a new door skin on this side that we did, it would be like 5 years ago now. So we put a new door skin on there. So that's just going to want reassembling, putting the glass and everything back in it. On this rear quarter, there's two bits that we need to address. There's a bit of rust here, which we've got panel work to go in there. And then this rear quarter, you can see where we've marked it out, sort of that section down needs replacing, and then the underside where it actually meets what is the boot panel, I guess, needs replacing. But that's the only rust on the whole car, apart from bits of surface rust. So that's the biggest bit that we've got to address in terms of bodywork, and then this can all just be cleaned up and painted and go back. Moving round to the rear end. Inside the boot is all good. It's all been rust treated and everything 5 years ago when we did it. This is a brand new panel as well. The lights just need bolting in, and the previous owner put LED bulbs in, so they look quite cool. They just want bolting in, and then we've got a new like valance panel that I don't know if they bolt in or if they weld in. Looking at that, it bolts in. So we've got that to put on. But the rear end's all mint, like even in here and stuff, it's with it having been sat out for so long, you'd think it'd be quite rusty, but it's actually all right underneath all this junk. It's all good, so I'm quite happy. We've got, I think, the trims and stuff that will go in on the rear window panel. This side is all good, and anything that needed addressing has already been addressed. So this door's all fine, it doesn't need anything, and the mechanism works as we found out. And then inside, there's quite a bit to do. So the rear end's not too bad, that's all been taken care of. There's no rust or anything there, and even the floors are good. But it is going to want a little bit of panel work. We want to put a bulkhead in the rear as well, between the cabin and the boot, because obviously that's where the fuel tank is. I'll show you the fuel tank actually, because there's a few bits in here that we want to do. So in the boot, we need to mount the fuel tank. We've got this race fuel tank with the foam and stuff in it, and a battery. So we need to make mounts for both of those so they go in there nice and neatly, and then plumb and wire them all properly. So that'll be two nice little projects. And back inside, yeah, the rear's not too bad. Got to make that bulkhead panel that we were talking about, and then maybe some closing panels for everything else. And we go to the other side, we'll be able to see in the front. And then in the front, the floors and everything are good, so there's no welding to do in here. We're going to pull the dash out, and we've got that race dash, so we'll stick a race dash in there, and a nice switch panel and everything. And then obviously it's going to be changing to a manual gearbox as well, so we'll be changing the shifter and everything, but it's already got a hydro handbrake in there. Not that it's connected to anything yet. Well, it is connected actually, but there's other bits that are disconnected, so it won't work. So yeah, that's where we are with, roughly with what we've got to do. All of that's sort of separate to actually converting it to a manual and then doing all that sort of stuff as well. So there's quite a lot of work to do, but I think once it's clean and once we've made the start on wire brushing stuff down and painting it again, it'll look 1,000 times better, and all the underside's good, and there's only that little bit of rust on this rear corner to sort out. So I think we'll be, we should make progress quite quick. Our first plan of action then is we want to get this cleaned off, because obviously it's hideously green and manky and everything because of how long it's been stood. But we can't drive it, because even though we got it running, you can't stop it. So, which is fairly important when there's a nice runoff and then a river about 50 feet down off a bank. So we don't fancy doing that, and we don't want to push it out, because then we're going to push it back in and there's the ramp, and it's just a whole thing. So if we can get it stopping, then we can drive it out, clean it off and drive it back in. So the only thing that's stopping us from doing that is we've got the servo at the top here that's got two brake fittings going into it, which are wrong. So we need to figure out what fittings these are and then switch them out. So rear brakes are all connected up, and I think they're all fine, but we'll double check. And the fronts just need the pipework, the existing pipework that's there, connecting up as well. But we might need adapters. So we're going to whip a wheel off, have a look at that, and then try and figure out these fittings first. So let's get on with that.
I'll get the wheel off.
I've got a fit in here, but I think it's the right one because it's going in, but I've got to use a spanner because I think the threads are all rusty, or I'm just cross-threading everything.
I've found that one silver fit in there, and then the front fit in here is smaller than this one, and I think it might be that one, so I'm thinking that will go in there, and then obviously I've got that fitting for the second one, so I'm going to try and take that off there, see if it'll go in there, and then we could just put that on this pipe and that on that pipe, and hopefully that'll connect up then.
Right, now I've got to find that. And it didn't fall through, so... Ooh, what's this?
Probably sitting on top of the steering box.
I found some pipes after cutting that off.
Yeah, I think they're for that quickener in there.
In our box of junk, that's new junk, but there's brand new pipework there, and I think that's the fitting I want, which is the fitting I've just cut off and then lost. So that looks the right size. Look at that. What a result that is. Well, that was a waste of time. I've just cut that off there and lost it, so I've got to find it. And then I messed around finding that when there was some pipework down there with literally both the fittings I want. So that's the one that I want for the front, and that's the one I want for the rear. So I can just steal this pipe and put the fittings on there, and then we're good to go.
So the next problem then is I need to put the fitting on there, I need to flare that, which means I need to get that pipe out because I'm not going to get the flaring tool in here. So one pipe goes somewhere. Alright, one pipe bolts in there. Where does this one go? Oh, that bolt's in the back there, so I've got to unbolt them. And then I might just make new pipes.
The annoying thing is, like, I've had that locker for the last 5+ years, so I could have got the brakes working 5 years ago when I did the conversion.
Then you wouldn't have crashed into the 101.
And then I wouldn't have crashed into the 101. Which we don't talk about. Shit. 60s American car heavy, where they don't give a shit about what it weighs, they just make it really strong.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah. Don't know where we're going with it.
I don't know. To me, to you.
Sorry, race car. Now a shelf.
I do.
I don't know why I'm doing this, but basically I've just got a hammer stuck. I've just intentionally got a hammer stuck.
So what's happening?
I've managed to get this off, and I've wedged a ring spanner on it in this stupid gap. But it's a ratchet ring spanner, and the ratchet bit is not fucking working. It's just like every tiny bit of a turn it works. So I'm not actually able to undo it, and I've cut myself. It's coming out though. Done it. Completed it, bro.
So that's the old one, yeah?
Yeah. So I'm going to keep that end and put that back. Or maybe a new one, because I think I've got new ones of those. I'm going to remake that pipe with one of those ends on. And then do the same on the other one. Which is this one. So I've got to get that out as well. Let me show you my spanner. My really useful spanner with a ratchet. Oh, it's working now. So the ratchet wasn't working a minute ago.
I feel like that was user error and not the tools.
Well, it might have been. Maybe I was doing it right, or lefty tyre. I'm going to get a different spanner. Oh, what a result. This one came out first time, and I didn't round anything, and I didn't cut myself. I didn't lose any tools. I got both the pipes out that were the wrong pipes. These two fittings were wrong, although I think that one would actually still fit. So I'm basically just going to make up new pipes. I've got two fittings there, and then I can take the other two off of here and make two fresh new pipes. Alright, so I'm going to clean these two up on the wire wheel, get the old pipes out of them, and then I need to cut them, get those off there, and start making some new ones. just making up these pipes. So I've got my 2 fittings. Yeah, so I'm going to make up a pipe with those 2 fittings and then a pipe with those 2 fittings. I've got one pipe already that's already been flared on one end, which is handy. So I'm going to remember to put both of these on rather than just one or neither, because it's already got one flare on it. I've only got to do one flare on the other end. Okay, so there's one pipe done. In one. Alright, so I've got both my pipes made up. I'm going to chuck them on the pile in there.
Leave them for 5 minutes.
This is literally the first time we've used just stop. That's what I'm going to do, just stop. Find me another job to do. Fixed it, I haven't fixed anything, I've just made another one.
You made that, didn't you?
Yeah, made it. Made it myself. I'm going to break it again now. How does this go? Oh, okay. It's already been run over by the looks of it. Okay, one pipe. In, just needs tightening up. And then number 2 pipe. Got my 2 pipes in there. Not supposed to come off, but we'll spend a day doing that tomorrow. So I've got my 2 pipes in there now, so that's connected up from the master. That goes to the rest of the system. In theory, we've got rear brakes now. We've just got to get these front ones on.
I'm just going to show you what I'm doing on this side. So taking the wheel off, and the issue that we have on the fronts at the moment is that the calipers aren't actually connected. So this is the old brake line that's been cut off, which connects, it has a connector here, which then obviously that goes up to the master cylinder. So I need to unbolt this, take the old line off, and then get a fit in so we can bolt the new braided line for the caliper up to the existing copper. So the issue that we're having is, because these pipes have probably never been off, probably factory, they are really seized on. What we might end up doing is just cutting the pipes, putting a new fit in.
Might be worth just making that whole pipe new, because it comes through here, look, to a TP. So if you can get that off there, because they literally just join together. Somebody's
We've
already
got braided line.
We have, but we've got solid line, so might as well run solid.
Braid from there up to
just
that
run solid line, and then they're all right then, aren't they? Okay. Yeah, try and get that apart if you can.
Yeah.
Somebody's already replaced that section, because I can't imagine that's a factory join. No. I mean, it could be, but I'd be surprised. And then just replace that section then, yeah, because we've got enough pipe.
Okay, so I'm on with making some new brake pipes for the front end. This was the original one that we've taken off. I was going to reuse this, just put new fittings on the end, but with it being steel, it's actually corroded. So I figured it was better not to put it back on. So we've got some new copper pipe that I'm going to use. Got some new fittings, so I'm going to put them on as well. And then that'll make up the length from the existing pipe work to the new steel braided stuff that's already on the vehicle. And yeah, so I'm just going to get on with it. Just finished making these up, so they're an exact copy of the original steel ones, except they're made of copper. And then, yeah, just put the new fittings on the end so they're ready to bolt onto the car. Okay, so finished up the brake lines on this side. Got the new copper pipe running through, which connects to the braided lines for calipers. put your grommet in, and then that connects in here to the existing wiring. So that's the passenger side done. Then we're just around here on the driver's side. On this side, the pipe was in better condition, so we've kept it. We're just changing the fittings on the end, and then that allows us to connect to these new calipers. So both sides are done now. Got the new brake line on this side, and the other side is all connected and done and bolted back together. Got the lines going up to the master cylinder, so we're just going to put some fluid in that now, and then bleed the brakes, and we should be good to go. Got anything to say on that?
No, I'm just putting this fluid in, and it goes in here, and then it comes out on the floor at the back, because we haven't
checked the lines.
We haven't even bothered checking the lines at the back, which we probably should have done first.
Yeah, possibly.
Let's go and have a look.
No, we're good.
Well, there's brake lines there already, so that's a result.
Servo's not fully bolted in properly, if you remember. I mean, there's bolts on it. And I don't even know if there's a brake pedal there. Oh yeah, there is. Yep. So I've just got to pump the brakes now. And
Well, I would jump a few steps here.
whoops.
So what's the problem?
So we need to fit the brake pedal, but because this is on the ramp, can't get the door open enough. There's a lot of cobwebs in there. I'm gonna come out like Spider-Man, like with superpowers and shit. Just chuck me a light and I'll
Here's a light.
tar. That's bright. Go look at the light.
Oh yeah, that's where it goes. Just there.
What are you thinking? We'll get the servo bolted in, and then
I'm thinking we'll put the wheels on, roll it forward so we can get the door open, and then you can get under here and, and fit the pedal. This is a bit tight. I've got the master cylinder and the servo and everything bolted to the bulkhead properly now, and then bolted in the pedal. When I bought the car, it came with this brand new pedal, so I assumed that that brand new pedal had to go with the brand new master cylinder and servo. It doesn't. It's completely different. The old one was there, so we put that on. That's not right either, which is probably why the person who owned it before bought a new one, but it'll do for what we need it to do to get this outside so we can jet wash it. So once we get all the dashboard and everything out and we can get to it, we can then cut it around and make it right basically so it actually works. Next job is to get some fluid bled through the brake system and so it works, and hopefully we can get some brakes. See where we get now.
don't think we've got any brakes.
It's going to take forever. Just check that, Harry. Is that letting air out?
No,
No.
that is. But very, very slowly.
Yeah, let's do the rears, because if push comes to shove, I can just drive it on the rears. Alright, so we tried pumping the pedal, but it's because the whole system's dry of fluid. It's going to take forever, so we're going to back bleed them, which is basically we're going to use that syringe there.
That didn't work, did it?
To force the brake fluid from the wheel cylinder here all the way back to the master cylinder, and then we'll do this side, then we'll do the other side, then we'll go to the front because they're on a different system. But basically it will force that fluid in the syringe down the lines back to the front of the car. Right, what do you need me to do?
Pump that. If you can. Yep.
Ready?
Yep. I can hear it doing stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely pushing air out, so
Cool.
That's good. Ready?
You put my phone in shot.
That wasn't my fault.
Right, let's go again, yeah?
Yeah, ready?
Yeah. Go for it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Right, so we've got fluid then from the rear wheel cylinders up here to the hydro handbrake, but we haven't got it from there to the master cylinder, so I'm just gonna, Harry's just gonna help me force some fluid up the line to the master cylinder, and then we've got fluid in the brake line. Yeah, go on.
That's not moving.
Oh, that is going, mate. Just
Is it?
up and slow. Try pulling it. Nice and steady. Oh yeah, that's working. Look at all that air. Brake pedals then, we're trying to bleed the brakes and we're struggling because the brake pedal isn't right and it won't do, if you know what I mean, really. So this is the original brake pedal, and obviously somebody bought that one, which is slightly longer and it's got the pivot position in a different point, the clevis position in a different point, but it's still wrong. So I basically need the stock pedal, but with the clevis mounting point 30mm back from where it is. So I'm literally just going to weld on, I'm going to cut that bolt off, weld the bolt to the back here, and that should give me enough of a distance and a change for us to actually get a proper brake pedal and it work correctly. And then I can just drill the end of the bolt like this is for a cotter pin or a split pin, and it should still work the same, in theory. Do the safety script for me, Harry. Yeah, so if I weld that on there, kind of like that distance, that change in distance is exactly what I need, basically. Sweet, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to fire a hole through the end of it for a split pin. Nice, so we've got a hole for a split pin. We can throw that on now, find the other bush because I've lost it.
What are you doing down there?
I've got the pedal in, and now I'm trying to get a cotter pin in, and that silly clip down there that you need to pass me.
I'm a professional cameraman now, sorry, I can't do that. Not one.
I can see nothing. Oh. Ow. So many things hurt. Brake pedal.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, look, it's pumping that back then, you see it?
Yeah.
Got no brakes whatsoever. Pedal just going to the void. Builds a bit of pressure eventually, but load of shit. So the brakes, that's on the foot brake. That's with the, I don't understand. Foot's to the floor, there's no pressure, it's reversed. So it's holding it. Is that wheel spin? Why is it holding it? I don't understand. I'm so confused.
So we've just had a nightmare of bleeding the brakes, which we can't really get our heads around. I definitely can't. Gone around and bled all the brakes like we think we're doing the right thing. Getting a bit of fluid, not really great fluid coming through when you push your foot on the pedal. And the pedal doesn't feel great. And we've tried back bleeding it, and we've also tried syringing it out, and we're not really getting anywhere with it. So we fired up the engine and tried to see if the servo assist would help us at all. And it kind of didn't. It didn't. When the engine's running, the pedal just goes to the floor with your finger. It's like super easy. Obviously the servo is going to make it easier, but it literally just goes to the floor. Obviously that engine and that servo were never designed together, so there might be an issue there, I don't know. Basically, the hydro brake will hold the back brakes and brake the car on the hydro, but if you use a foot brake, that also works as well. But it holds the fronts really well, but the back not so great. And you can actually stand there and do wheel spin with your foot on the brake. So it's obviously braking the fronts, but it feels like shit because the pedal just goes straight to the floor. So I'm super confused, don't really understand why, and bored of playing with brakes currently. So we're going to take it outside carefully and jet wash it off and then think about this another day, because yeah, weird.
So we managed to get it outside pretty safely. The brakes actually did work, not amazingly, but they did work. It's just so bizarre that the pedal goes to the floor with no effort, but it actually was still braking a little bit. So now we can get on with trying to get this a bit cleaner, get rid of all the leaves and the cobwebs and as much of the grime as possible so we can see what we're working with. So pretty relentless then with the jet wash. Literally every square inch of the car got jet washed, inside and out, the underside, literally everywhere. Just gonna let it dry off a bit and then see about getting it pulled back in the workshop.
So it's the next day, we've got the car back in the workshop after cleaning it off yesterday. We went to move it this morning and the front brakes are seized on, and we don't really know why. Well, we didn't know why. We took the caliper off. I took it off this morning, had a look at it. They seem to all be okay. We've got fluid coming down to the calipers, but they're locked on, they're not releasing, so the front brakes were locked on, which is weird because we've got all the braking on the front and no braking at all on the rear. So started looking into that. Did a bit of research online and stuff and come to the conclusion that basically the push rod on the servo engages into the master cylinder here. There should be a small gap between the end of the push rod and the end of the piston, but ours had this spacer in it. So we've got about a 15mm spacer in there that sat inside there. With the master cylinder bolted to the servo, we had basically 15mm of preload already on master cylinder, which meant that even though the brake pedal was all the way back, we were never disengaging the brakes on the front, which is why they locked on. And it would also explain the reason why we could never actually bleed them properly, because the piston was never returning. So we've taken the muster cylinder off, taken the 15mm spacer out, and then there's an adjustment screw on the push rod. So we've wound the adjustment screw out so that there's a small amount of clearance between the end of the push rod and the piston. Hopefully we're going to bolt this back on, put the brake lines back on, and then we should be able to bleed the system properly. So put the muster cylinder back on, bolted it up to the servo. We've had the car running so that we have the vacuum coming through the brake booster as well. We've bled all of the brakes, front and rears, and they all seem to work good now. So that's all done. We're just going to move on to the next part.